Last week got off to a pretty shaky start. In the early games, including the Thursday night and morning matchups, I went a disgusting 2-5. It was looking like I was going to go right from having my best predictions week to my worst predictions week. Just take a look at this garbage real quick. That's not all. I got a little bit more for you. But fortunately, in the afternoon and evening games, I went 5-0, bringing my record for the week to 7-6. It's pretty bad, but compared to how I've been doing throughout this season so far, it's about par for the course. On Thursday night, you got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Miami Dolphins. Both teams somehow destroyed the opponents they were going up against. For the Ravens, it was the Bears, and the Dolphins, it was the Falcons. I just don't know if those games said more about the winners or the losers. Tua woke up today and just decided to play like a grade A quarterback that he was initially destined to be. And I really can't even tell you how the Ravens won their game because they didn't even look super pretty on paper. I can't even be hype about the victory of either of these teams because I know that they both took on two connoisseurs of inconsistency. So unless there is another 50-point blowout here in Miami, I really can't take either of these teams seriously. I guess I'll pick the Dolphins to win because they just looked better last week. And the Ravens are still pretty beat up. All I know is that this is a Thursday night game that no one needs to watch. Next, you got the 49 injuries going down to MetLife Stadium, aka the Valley of ACL Tears, to take on the Giants. The only thing crazier than the 49ers losing to the Texans for the first time since 2009 is CMC being a top 10 receiver in the NFL right now. That's right. Christian McCaffrey, a running back, is top 10 in receiving yards in the NFL. If MetLife Stadium doesn't take his soul, then it's safe to say that he's going to be a problem for the Giants. Speaking of running backs, one guy that the 49ers will not have to deal with is Cam Skattebo, who the Giants unfortunately lost in their game against Philadelphia. Once Skattebo was out, that Giants offense just really didn't look the same. But despite that, Skattebo doesn't play for the defense, and that defense was getting torn up, particularly by the rushing of the Eagles, letting up damn near 300 yards and letting the Eagles beat this team harder than they got beaten by the same team 2 weeks ago. I'm going to pick San Francisco to win because both teams are pretty injured right now, but the 49ers, they're used to that. Like, you know how some teams play just fine in shitty weather? I feel like the 49ers play fine with a beat-up roster. But just in general, I feel like the 49ers are much more well coached than the Giants and much more experienced. So I don't see why the Niners lose this game. Next, you got two fucking losers going at it in Cincinnati. After defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of Thursday nights ago, making their fan base think that there's still a semblance of fight left in the franchise, and that there's still not a team that you should count out, these fucking rotten bagels not only lost to the unvictorious Jets, they blew a 14-point lead late in the game to the unvictorious Jets. That might be the most pathetic loss of the season so far. That shit eclipsed the Rams losing to the beat-up 49ers after talking a lot of shit, and it's tied with the Cardinals blowing a lead to the Titans due to their own self-inflicted wounds that they absolutely did not need to inflict. It's up there. Meanwhile, despite looking pretty good on paper, the Bears lost, actually kind of got their ass kicked by the Ravens. I can't really explain that or break it down for you. That's just modern day Chicago Bears for you. Ugly game that I'm not going to watch, but I'm going to pick the Bears to win just because I'm so disgusted with the Bagels right now that outside of a divisional game, I don't think I'll be picking them to win any more games for the remainder of the season. Next up, you got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Detroit Lions. The Lions have just come off of a nice bye week, looking to get back into their dominant shape. Meanwhile, the Vikings were getting bludgeoned by the Chargers, just really suffering through these injuries. Carson Wentz is out for the season, so the QB situation for Minnesota is looking pretty dicey. We might be seeing this Max Brosmer dude starting for the Vikings on Sunday. And just in general, there's a lot of questionable players on the Vikings offense, so that whole offense is looking pretty complicated. The Lions have spanked the Vikings bare ass 5 times in a row by now, and with the injuries and complications in Minnesota right now, I think the Lions will make that a 6th time. Next, you get the Carolina Panthers versus the Green Bay Packers. Last week, I put a little too much faith into the Panthers, picking them to beat the Buffalo Bills, and then they would proceed to lose to the Bills in what is now the largest blowout this season so far. They'll be taking on the Packers, who just got a win off on the Steelers last Sunday night. Jordan Love had an amazing game. He played great, throwing for Xbox 360 yards, dropping 3 touchdowns. They'll be heading back to Wisconsin with this energy, taking on a relatively weak Panthers team. Panthers might bite, but the Packers should win this game. Next, you got the Broncos taking on the Houston Texans. The Broncos coming off of a win where they were slapping around the Cowboys for 60 minutes. They'll be taking on a Texans team who just came off of their biggest win of the season, but since that was over a pretty injured and discombobulated 49ers team, that's not super huge or anything. The Broncos are hot right now. They're on a 5-game win streak. I don't see the Texans being the ones to stop them. But yeah, I don't have much to say here other than Broncos win. Next, you got Super Bowl 51. The Patriots are another team that are on a 5-game win streak right now, getting that 5th win by defeating the number 1 defense in the league, the Browns. Now, I'm not trying to say that the Patriots are the best team in the NFL or anything, but they're definitely the most impressive. Actually, that title goes to the Colts. That shit just came out of nowhere. But my point is, the Patriots are doing great for what they are and the seasons they're coming off of. The Patriots are 6-2 right now, and they'll be taking on an already deflated-looking Falcons team. All of a sudden, Atlanta just cannot squeak out more than 10 points for some reason. They got used thoroughly by the Dolphins in their own stadium. I mean, not even Bijan Robinson looked good that game. Quite honestly, I'm getting tired of the Falcons' inconsistency, but I'm gonna pick the Patriots to win this game because they know consistency. They're red hot right now, and I just think they're, the better team right now. So New England's got this one. Speaking of the Colts, they'll be taking on the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I refuse to believe that heading into Week 9, the Indianapolis Colts are 7-1. This just doesn't make any sense. They're having a similar run that the Vikings had last year, just doing good for no reason. I mean, we'll see what they do in the postseason, but right now I just don't know what to make of this for the Colts. I mean, they're number 1 in the league in points put up on the board. It's impressive. I'll give them that. It is very impressive. They'll be taking on the Steelers, who should be a bit of a test to this challenger in the AFC, if you will. This should be a pretty solid test for the Colts. The Steelers may not be a top dog team or anything, but I think they're a pretty solid opponent to really, test this random spark that Indianapolis has going here. For a rising team like the Colts, as far as good teams to go against, if a real top dog team, we'll say the Lions for example, if the Lions are Beerus Sama, then the Steelers are Rimbrian. Definitely a challenge, but beating them doesn't really make you one of the best, if that makes sense. But I'm gonna pick the Colts to win. I have them beating the Steelers, who lost to Green Bay last Sunday night. And I'm personally going to blame those awful jerseys. Please don't wear those again. Next, you got the LA Justin Herbert versus the Tennessee Titans. The ground game that had developed for the Chargers against the Vikings last week allowed Justin Herbert to throw for less than half of what he ended up throwing for last week. And they won. See what happens when you get the whole team involved and you don't just rely on one dude. Meanwhile, the Titans, they fought hard against the Patriots and got their ass whooped. Cam Ward looks solid at least. Now, I wouldn't really be surprised if the Chargers lose this game because that sounds like something they would do, but I will pick them to win. They are the better team. They should win this game. And I hope they do because I am tired of watching them lose games that they should not be losing. Next, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Vegas Raiders. The Raiders got their ass whooped during the bye week. Meanwhile, the Jaguars are looking to get back to threat status because ever since their win over the Chiefs, they haven't really seen much success on the field. After recently signing Tyler Lockett, the Raiders just look like they're trying to recreate a washed-up Seattle Seahawks team, which I think is still better than any Raiders team over the past handful of years. I got the Jaguars winning this game. Hopefully they get back on their feet with it. Next, you got the New Orleans Saints taking on the LA Rams. I don't want to talk about the New Orleans Saints, okay? They're a stock team. They are too deep into the background for me to care about them. They'll be taking on the Rams, who just came off a bye week and looking to secure that number one spot in the NFC West. This should be an easy victory for the Rams. I got the Rams winning. Next, you got what's supposed to be the rivalry of the decade. You got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Bills in Buffalo. Both of these teams just took on and whooped subpar opponents, so I won't get too deep into those games. Not that I do with any games, really. But James Cook scraped the Panthers defense for over 200 rushing yards, single-handedly winning that game for the Bills. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are just kind of beating on a dead horse, Washington, and kind of got an easy win there. And I'm going to tell you guys something, and I know it's going to be hard to believe and hard to accept, but the Chiefs had 9 penalties for 95 yards that game. The refs did not favor the Chiefs this week. I know it's something that a lot of you do not want to hear, but that's the truth. Both of these teams are due to beat somebody that are at their level, and this is a great game to do that. If this was a playoff game, I'd pick the Chiefs to win, obviously, because they've had Buffalo on a leash in the postseason over the past decade or whatever. But it's not a postseason game, so the Bills do have the ability to beat the Chiefs. And I think they will. I just feel like the Bills' potential goes way farther than the Chiefs. Like, I'm thinking about it, and I can't remember the last time I've seen the Chiefs look deadly. Like, truly look intimidating. They're always just winning fundamentally, if that makes sense. Always doing just enough to pull out the victory. Whereas the Bills, like, again, I feel like they can be explosive, harder hitting, all that. And if they come with that energy this game while being played at home, this should be a win for the Bills. But I just hope it's an interesting game. Next, you got the Seattle Seahawks going down to dirty-ass Washington to take on the Redskins. No, not that Washington, the other Washington. The Redskins, as I just mentioned, looked sad against the Chiefs. The injuries are really just wearing down on them now. I didn't even know Jaden Daniels wasn't going to play that game until I saw the highlights. And at the time of recording, Daniels is questionable to play, so I imagine he will not be playing. But even if he does, the team just all around is just kind of riddled right now. Still shaken up. They'll be taking on a Seahawks team that is trying so hard to look intimidating. I'm going to pick Seattle to win, but only because the Redskins are just so shaken up right now. And I feel like most teams would be able to beat them in the state they're in. So I'm going to pick Seattle to win. And if they don't, then they are really not helping their case. And lastly, you got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Cowboys in Dallas. The Cowboys went to Denver to battle the Broncos and got stomped the fuck out. And if you look too quickly, you'll think that the Cowboys lost to the Broncos by the same score they beat the Redskins the week prior. And the Cardinals, after losing 5 in a row, just got off of a well-needed bye week so that they can hopefully regroup and get their footing back because it is not looking pretty for them. They'll be taking on a Cowboys team that just kind of picks and chooses when they want to look scary. But the Cowboys do know how to drop big numbers on their opponents, and the Cardinals certainly look like the weaker team here. But I do think luck is on their side because the Cowboys have played like poopy butthole against the Cardinals over the past few years. And since this is a Monday night game, prime time, that's when weird shit really starts happening. So I'm actually going to pick the Cardinals for the upset here. I've been doing many upsets lately, and, I think I'm okay to make this one this time. Cardinals get the win and maybe stay in the NFC West race. I don't see them catching up, but maybe make it look a little more respectable, I guess. But tell me how you guys feel that we're already halfway through the NFL season. How do I feel? stressed for the most part. Mostly because of these prediction videos, and I'm really considering finding another way to go about these kinds of videos. Because at the end of the day, sports is entertainment, for me at least. And I already have sports teams that stress me out, yes, including in the NFL. I don't need to be stressing about all other 32 teams. It doesn't make sense to me. But we're going to get through this season. I'm not going to bitch about it too much. Maybe I just need to get good, is all.